This is the town of Irondequoit, and what you're seeing in the data view right here is the residential and commercial street segments of the town of Irondequoit as the line features. And I've removed all of the parking lots and interstate highways and other miscellaneous non-residential, non-building um, streets of the town of Irondequoit. The dots are study sites, and you'll be able to see how you can find those in a few minutes. Those are study sites that are defined by the midpoint of each street segment in the streets database. What we're going to do is assess the neighborhood condition, the house quality or the building quality at each of these points, and we're going to share the data entry work, or the data collection and data entry work, and then I'll put it all together for you, and you'll be able to make a very interesting map and analysis about neighborhood conditions in the town of Irondequoit. And we'll come back to this view and arc map in a couple of weeks. The basis for this project, for this study, was an article I discovered which documents how it is useful and valid to use Google Street View as a virtual windshield survey of neighborhoods or cities or areas. And the traditional method for assessing neighborhood condition was to drive up and down every street, and one person driving, one person with a clipboard. However, the resource of Google Street View allows us to greatly accelerate that process with a lot less expense and a lot less inconvenience, and do the same thing, and also to split up the project among a group of people. So this is the foundation article, and it's worth a very, very brief skim, but it's important to make sure that the foundation of a particular project is cited, and this is the foundation here. There's another document that's available in the folder called Course Project in Blackboard, and it's called the Web Windshield Surveying document. This is a document that deserves substantial study and review, because the process and information that you'll be using to do your study is in this document. And the first page is background information. There's also some discussion and description of what you'll be looking for and looking at in Google Street View in order to score every one of your study points that you've been assigned. And I'll emphasize several times in this discussion that 1 is good and 5 is bad on the scale that we are establishing, and it's important that everybody work on the same scale or the same rating system. 1 is good, 5 is bad, 2, 3, and 4 are in between. There's information in this document as well about how to use Google Street View, which I will be demonstrating, so I'll skip that part in this document. And then also, very importantly, there's a picture guide in this document that gives some guidance for you how to rate the property or the street or the block that you've been assigned as a 1 through 5. And a 1 is good. Here are properties that are very well maintained, and they're all 1s. 2s have modest issues, street parking, neglect of lawns, and a few things. Number 3s have some significant issues, and obviously moving down to number 4s and number 5s, buildings that are in very poor condition, abandoned, boarded up, getting into the 5 range. And there's separate scales for residential areas, commercial areas, and finally mixed areas, where there may be areas that have both residential and commercial in the same location. So there's a nice picture guide for you to take some time to review and get some idea of the of how you can assign scores on a 1 through 5 basis. What you'll be working with first, and what's most significant, most useful for you to work with first, is the data entry sheet, which is titled Data Sheet. And in this data sheet, you'll notice that every one of you in class has been given 40 locations, and their street addresses. And they also, in this data sheet, I've also used ArcMap to generate XY coordinates, etc. And this data sheet has also has the road type code, the speed limit, the length of the code, and the XY coordinate. That is for future use and will prove to be very convenient when we take this Excel spreadsheet, which every one of you will partially fill out. I will combine and then create, turn it back into a shapefile for future use. What I'd like to do is to show you the process by which you will use this data sheet to find a location, go to enter Street View for that location, and then enter the score. And we'll start at the bottom. I do have the count didn't come out exact, so there's a certain number of streets or locations that haven't been assigned to people yet. And those of you who would like to get a few extra points to tip you over to a new grade, we'll talk about that in a week or two. But anyway, let's start at the bottom, and I'm always at the bottom of every list. So let's try that. What I'll do is I will select, and I've highlighted in green the street number, the street address, and the place where the score is entered. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select that address, Control C to copy, and then I believe I can go to Google Maps, which you enter just by Googling Google Maps, I suppose. And then it's possible to use this particular search window up here in Google Maps to paste in 244 Zuber Road, and it's Irondequoit, not any of these other 244 Zuber roads, and search. And we discover 244 Zuber Road, and it's near Seabreeze, so everything seems to be going well. Then we use the little guy here, the guy, and we swing him around and drag him to 244 Zuber Road. And we will try again to put him on 244 Zuber Road. And there we go. So this is Zuber Road as indicated. And it says I'm at 246, and I don't consider that problematic. The points are not precise. It's a very interesting vehicle, two of them in that driveway. I don't consider it to be a very precise measure. We are just evaluating the neighborhood as a whole, or the block, several houses in each direction. And I'm clicking and spinning, clicking and dragging to spin around. I'm assessing this neighborhood, and we have a sidewalk, we have an attractive house, good driveways. The road is okay. I will let whoever ends. And again, I'm turning this over to each person. Somebody was parking some failing automobiles along this stretch apparently, but I will let you, when you see it get to a certain point, make your own judgment on whether this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So this is probably not a 1 and probably not a 5, but you can practice and judge. And then once you've decided what the score is for that particular location, you can enter a value into this here. And if you are unable to assign a value for any particular reason, please put in a 99, or you're able to put in a 1 or a 2 or a 3, etc. and save the spreadsheet with your 40, whichever 40 you were assigned. Save the spreadsheet and put it in the Dropbox before before Thanksgiving, the 19th or the 20th of November. My estimate is to do 40 points. Should take less than 2 hours, and I also expect that you probably should invest about an hour in learning the process, learning the scoring system, and getting used to what you're doing. Once you submit all these to me, I'll spend my Thanksgiving break assembling, cutting and pasting all 54 of you into one spreadsheet, and then turning that into a shapefile, which will provide an original and quite useful and interesting data set, which we'll map and analyze. This assignment, this data collection, if you do it correctly and rigorously, will earn you 25 course points, and then the mapping and analysis, which should be very quick if we all do a good job on the data collection, will gather you 15 more points. And so that should, for those of you who have completed all the assignments in a good condition, that should put you up into the grade range that you'll appreciate.